A simple story, the gospel sync. Number 71, Matthew chapter 13, verses 1 through 9. Mark chapter 4, verses 1 through 9, and Luke chapter 8, verses 4 through 8. Welcome back. Today we'll be combining the gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke to see the impact of the simple stories Jesus told. So let's dive in. The gospels. That same day, Jesus went out of the house and sat by the sea and once again began to teach. People were coming to Jesus from town after town. Such large crowds gathered around him that he got into a boat and sat down, while all the people crowded along the shore. And he told them many things in parables. Jesus said, "Listen, a farmer went out to sow his seed, and as he was sowing, some seed fell along the path where it was trampled, and the birds of the air came and devoured it. Some fell on rocky ground where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun rose, the seedlings were scorched, and they withered because they had no root or moisture. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up with it and choked the seedlings, and they yielded no crop. Still other seed fell on good soil where it sprouted, grew up, and produced a crop, one bearing 30-fold, another 60-fold, and another 100-fold. As Jesus said this, he called out, "He who has ears to hear, let him hear." My thoughts on storytelling? It has become a big part of Deb and I's discipleship toolbox. We probably should have picked up on this sooner because we are so committed to becoming like Jesus. But for some reason, it eluded us for years. Then in 2011, we heard about missionaries using storytelling as a strategy to reach people for Christ. The reports were incredible. So Deb and I decided to try storytelling here in the States. Although the results have not been as spectacular as those overseas, we have seen the transformative effects on the people we teach. So much so, we have been using this technique ever since. It makes so much sense for several reasons. It was part of Jesus' strategy. It's so simple, it elicits thought, emotion, and action. It creates healthy discussion. It's so reproducible. Did I mention Jesus used stories? It's certainly not the only tool for teaching, but it has become one of our most valued ones. We have used a story set for years now, and we are amazed at the response and applications that come from our discussions. Here's one of our story sets we use to help people respond to Jesus in a way that leads to salvation. 7 Stories of Hope. See a link in the video description below. My story, I recently used this very story, the parable of the sower, with 2 young men when I was out witnessing. I told the story about the seed falling on 4 types of soil, and instead of explaining what each element meant, I asked them questions. What do you think the lesson is for this story? Who told the story? What do you think the seed represents? What about the 4 different types of soil? Then I asked the key question. Would you like to know who told the story and its meaning? They both enthusiastically said yes. That was the beginning of meeting every Sunday for 10 weeks, just telling Bible stories and using the head, heart, hands questions. What did you learn? How did the story make you feel? What does the story make you want to do? They both made professions of faith and one was baptized. And they both started sharing the stories with others. I'm so glad we learned this tool for our discipleship tool belt. Our action plan. What stories do you use to train others to communicate biblical truths? Here's some ideas to help you develop story sets for particular areas of discipleship. Study Jesus' storytelling techniques and put them into practice. Answer the question, why did Jesus use storytelling? Develop sets of biblical stories to address different elements of discipleship like repentance, faith, obedience, grace, etc. It is very apparent that Jesus was a master storyteller and used stories extensively in his ministry. Let's take a cue from him and add storytelling to our discipleship toolbox.